asking some clarifying and probing questions. Here, I can get these two folks to here. Help me out with these things.
I'm gonna get 180.
By the way, Hyatt, it was clarifying. It was?
Yeah. No. Hyatt.
Right, good.
Oh, that's not it. Addie, you need one. I'm kidding.
Okay. So here we go. So gang, I've heard that you've been studying government and like the Constitution, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah? And then I've heard you recently maybe talking about checks and balances, is that correct? Okay. Maybe, yeah. Well, so like checks and balances, right, is the idea that in this government, in our government, we don't put the power in one person's hands, right? We have these checks and balances so that other parts of the government can check the power of different offices, all right? So like the president, you know, or Congress can make a law, but the president can veto the law. Or the president can appoint somebody to the Supreme Court, but the Congress gets to decide whether that person is qualified or not. So those are examples like checks and balances where we don't entrust the power to one person completely. So this is written about checks and balances. I'm going to read it to you. It's challenging. I think you're up to the challenge. The beauty of having a challenging passage is it's easy to ask questions about it, right? Because there's a lot to unpack. So I'll just read this to you, and then in your teams, your Harkness groups, you're going to write down 3 clarifying and 3 probing questions. Okay. So first off, the following passage comes from an essay called Federalist 51 by James Madison. It was written in 1787 to explain why checks and balances are necessary in the Constitution. Here we go. Famous excerpt. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition. The interest of the man must be connected with the constitutional rights of the place. It may be a reflection on human nature that such devices should be necessary to control the abuses of government. But what is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this: you must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. That's written by James Madison. Why don't we start and have you, in your teams, you're going to write down 3 clarifying questions to begin with, okay? These are questions that have kind of a definitive answer, okay? It could be words you don't know. It could be specific questions that have a definitive answer. And the Harkness leaders are going to come around and help you, okay? Go ahead.
It said when we written.
Yeah, that's a clear final.
Okay, we could say what are the checks and balances? Yeah. What is
Yeah, what are? That's right. That's a good question.
paragraph?
I asked how old was James Madison.
I was trying to question Bill about the
Okay. Does anybody have another clarifying question?
So, do you work as a team?
Yeah.
What's your clarifying?
What are checks and balances?
That's a good one. Yeah. So 2 more.
Well, why do we need checks and balances? That would be more of a
That would be
probing
more
question.
like, that would be the good probing question.
We can write that down.
What did you say, Elijah?
It's a really good probing question.
Why do we need checks and balances?
Good job, team.
At the time, it was the state.
I don't know.
You can ask, for example, do you know who's the author?
Yeah.
James Madison.
Madison. We can put that one down.
Are there any words in there that you don't know?
I went down one for blush, but like that's, are there any words? I don't know, because I Federalist makes it
What's the Federalist? Yes, a clarifying question. Who were Federalists? No, actually Federalists, so they were, so when the Constitution was being written, there were like Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Federalists